we have Master Yi versus Victor. And man, this matchup is going to be super, super enjoyable to see. Just seeing that Master Yi is looking to play that defensive game plan, trying to hold out that early game, trying to establish those battlefields and stay strong. And then Victor looking to do that token strategy, trying to put those tokens out onto the board and going really, really aggressive with their game plan.
Yeah, and that's going to be the biggest thing here, too. Victor is going to probably try to go out as fast as he can, but the biggest thing is removal as well in getting things going. You're going to be looking for Coal of the Week to try to take out maybe one of your token units in this case to hopefully hit something very powerful on Master Yi's side. Likewise, though, I mean, Grand Stratagem is going to be one of the biggest things that can really help push, adding +5 to all your units to make that final push to get from 6 points to 8 points. So I'm just really excited to see what this deck is going to be able to do here.
Yeah, and we definitely see it does look more of the standard Victor that we love and know, just using that the Harness Dragon to get rid of those bigger bodies, and then Grand Stratagem, like you mentioned, is just going to be really aggressive into this matchup. And let's take a look at the side of Yi and seeing what Yi is going to be doing here, and we know what Yi wants to do. We saw this deck list earlier, but one thing we didn't see here is this Blitzcrank. This Blitzcrank is definitely going to be putting in work, being able to pull those units from Victor's base into the battlefield, and also now we see the MF edition into this as well. So talk to me about this MF edition. What do you think about this, SK?
Well, MF is going to be a really interesting one because she can come in accelerated and be able to hurry and get to a battlefield and hold it as well. And so that is going to be one of the biggest things for Master Yi is let's get to a battlefield so that I can then use my +2 Master Yi Legend ability so that I can have, 7 Might instead with Misfortune here. And that can be very difficult to try to overcome, especially for Victor in this case.
All right, enough rambling from us. Let's get into the game. Before, let's see what these players will bring to us. All right, so it looks like Victor is going to be on the play here. And SK, talk to me. Like, what are we looking from both sides in this early game to really determine who's going to be able to win this game at the end of the day?
I mean, the biggest thing that we're going to be looking at is, who can manage to maintain the battlefields. And already we are having a Poro that is going to be able to add a shield to itself when defending, which can be very devastating as well to try to overcome in the early game. Master Yi is going to be trying to get as many points possible in the beginning, but at the same time, so is Victor. So it's going to be a big dynamic on, is there a bigger capitalization on going first in this case?
Yeah, so Victor, this Poro here being able to get that shield on defense basically means it's going to be +1 when defending and then +2 when Yi ability procs on the battlefield. So just very good early game aggression, just being able to take the battlefield and hold it out. And here we're just seeing a Death Sentry and Victor coming in with that token as well. So looking to get those units on board. So here we're just going to see the Master Yi go over to that Grove, and that Grove just being able to gain 1 on draw after you hold it is just going to be super, super strong as well. And here we see a new addition from the revealed cards in that Mask of the Willows. So this one is also going to be very strong in this matchup as well, basically being able to boost up +1, if I recall correctly here, when defending.
Yep, and right there you're already seeing a Coal of the Week coming in, but it is going to be countered by Master Yi in this case, so there will be no destruction of the Poro today, able to stay onto the field and hold for another point here. And that's going to be one of the devastating things too. Master Yi does have a lot of utility in his hand potentially, able to go ahead and counter whatever whatever Victor might be throwing out here.
Yeah, the defy there to stop that Call of the Week is actually really, really huge here, just allowing Yi to get that additional point as well. And that is just a very strong play. That's what you want to see. Usually Victor likes to leverage Call of the Week by sacrificing the tokens, just so you can get value off of it. But hey, Master Yi was like, absolutely not this time around. So we're just chilling. The other battlefield that is on the field as well is this Trifarian War Camp, and that battlefield is going to do a lot for Victor as well. Just being able to push bodies there and saying, hey, all my tokens, instead of being just 1/1s, now they're 2/2s. So now I'm going to get even more value. And you can just see how Victor likes to go on this value train, trying to 2-for-1 and doing things like that.
Yeah, exactly. And that's going to be the biggest thing as well, because you're trying to get as much advantage here as you can in the early game. I mean, especially with Victor going second here, that can be a little bit difficult to try to get onto a battlefield already. So, being able to Trifarian War Camp can help at least to curve going second here in game one.
All right, seems like both players are just doing a little bit of math here. Okay, I think I see what just happened there. I think what happened was because the spell got defied, it doesn't count as being played, so the Legion wouldn't proc off of that second play there, so there wouldn't be any tokens. So here we just seeing the Sprite Caller is just gonna. I forget the name of that. I believe it's the one that says when you use a spell, you get to get +1 might. And here we're going to see a hidden come down. And more than likely, this is probably just going to be a consult to pass, because we did see that in the deck list, allowing you the Victor player to draw 2 cards, just a new addition into these Victor lists just to adapt. And here we see the charm coming down from Master Yi. So Master Yi is going to charm, which looks like the Watchful Sentry there. And like I mentioned, that Consult to Pass is just going to come off this reaction, being able to draw those 2 cards, and now the Watchful Sentry is going to be coming into the row, which that Pora is going to be at 5 might, which is very, very huge. And we see Charm just being a menace as usual, just mixing up those numbers, right, for the Yi player.
Yeah, exactly. And Charm is going to be one of the best utilized cards in the Master Yi deck, especially when you are already going to be getting buffs for, units being moved into your battlefield and you defending. That can be such a devastating thing, especially against Victor, where, when you do get your Victor out onto the battlefield, you can then just go ahead and move like the Blitzcrank over, which we saw was in this deck list here, or even the Charm as well, to really take out some big threats on the board so that you can still gain as many points as you have and continue to build that momentum throughout the game.
Yep, and that's what it's really going to come down to, is going to be that momentum shift, especially when Victor decides to put that button in Grand. We know Grand Stratagem, like if you've been playing around with this game for quite some time, you know Grand Stratagem is one house of a card. And when that card comes down and when Victor decides, hey, I'm going for my 2 points, you can't stop him usually. So it's going to be very interesting to see when he decides to go for it. And here we see another Call of the Week coming down. But unfortunately, for the side of Yi, no Defy here to stop this one. So goodbye, Poro. Adios.
Yeah, and that's going to be a good thing to see as well, because we are currently at 2-2. And with no units necessarily out on the base for Master Yi here, that's still going to be a little bit difficult to maybe try to build back up. And especially with how many tokens that Victor can go ahead and get out onto the battlefield, we see that there's going to be now 2 more added to the battlefield at that case. I mean, this is already going to be an uphill battle for Master Yi, and going to need to have some answers, hopefully.
Yeah, and that raises the question, SK. What answers does Master Yi have here to deal with this swarm that is coming down from Victor? Because, like I mentioned, Yi does like to get that early game plan, battlefields and just sitting on them, and then waiting for the opportune time to just say, hey, now I can do my big push. And here we see one card that we talked about earlier in the Snapvine here. The Snapvine is going to come down and look to take a body with it as well, and seeing the Consult to Pass flip and just for that draw too.
Yeah, that's going to be a good play here. But at the same time, with Fiddy playing Victor, he's playing the patient game, and he's being really smart here about it as well, where he's keeping his units back to still try to watch what maybe Master Yi is doing, because, you know, he just needs to go ahead and get up to that 6 points. As soon as he's at that 6 points, if he has Grand Stratagem in hand, it's over. And so he's playing the patient game, making sure he has the board state built in his base. So when he does need to make that big push, or, you know, he doesn't need to overexert himself here. And we got to hope that Master Yi can pick up the pace here. Otherwise, they're going to fall behind, and there's going to be no answers that they can have to get back into this game.
And I'm a little bit curious, so let's use our feature here to take a look what is in both players' hand here and see what is going on. And here, yes, we see the Viktor has that Grand Stratagem, so you know he's prepping around. But Master Yi also does have that Discipline and Charm as well, so to look to clear out some of these units as well. So definitely on both sides are playing the more methodical game plan, waiting it out, and it looks like we see here a misfortune coming down onto the battlefield, and this misfortune looks like it was accelerated, so it will be coming out and going straight to the battlefield, looking to contest here on that Trifarian Warcamp, scoring that point and being able to untap one room. And now this is where the plays and the combos come in, because we did see that the Yi player does have that charm, so able to use that charm, bringing something into the battlefield. And this is, it depends on what he brings here, because I believe that unit there, if he brings the unit, it also makes a token when it comes as well. So this is going to be 4 going in there, but that Snapvine is pretty huge on 6. So it would actually be 8 with the Master Yi effect as well. So just able to clear it pretty easily.
Well, and not to even forget, though, about the card on the base as well, which adds +1 to all defending as well. So that was a 9 for the Snapvine there. And this was exactly what you needed to do to get back into this game. But at the same time, the thing that I'm watching now is Ghosty is low on the rune count. 3 runes is all. And at the same time, this deck still can function really well at 5 runes. But you just got to be so mindful, because if you on accident block yourself out from maybe getting a good play, it could cost you that game. And so we'll see what he's going to be able to have for responses in the next turn, but still having both battlefields under control is looking really good. And we're seeing right now what Fiddy is going to do to try to get back into this game.
Yep, so he is on that even score count right now, and this is kind of where you want to be, because now you can play a safer turn. You can even retreat both units just to look into going, and just going to even pass it over. So just really looking at Fiddy right now and telling Fiddy, hey man, I'm going to win the next game. Let's see what you can do here. So maybe he has some way to deal with like the Grand Stratagem, but then again, Ghosty does not know that Fiddy has that Grand Stratagem in hand. We do, but unfortunately they don't. So it's going to be very interesting to see how Ghosty plays this turn going into this potential Grand Stratagem turn.
And that's going to be the hard part. It's all or nothing here for Fiddy. If he goes ahead and does the Grand Stratagem, able to move everything in, that's going to be at 7, and that's going to be putting a lot of pressure onto Ghosty to try to take back not just one, but both battlefields, because if the turn is then passed, there is going to be nothing that they can do to finally score that 8th point, and Fiddy will take game 1 here. So there's a lot riding on this final push right now. Both players are seeming to be playing this very carefully, thinking out each play to try to make the most optimal thing to get things moving. And so it looks like here we go, though, instead opting
into the Harness Dragon.
Take out a unit. And the Harness Dragon can go ahead and take out a chosen unit anywhere on the battlefield, or anywhere on the field. So it can be even in an opponent's base, which is very powerful to be able to do. But at the same time, that is an 8 cost to recycle. But still, that's not necessarily going to be slowing them down enough. And still having Grand Stratagem in hand to get some great answers in case they need to make that last-ditch push to win this game.
Yep, and you see here, Fiddy playing a more methodical game plan, not just rushing for that Grand Stratagem, using that Harness Dragon to actually pop the MF so he can go on to that even curve. So now, on the follow-up turn here, if, for example, Ghosty doesn't have a way to deal with that board state on that Trifarian War Camp, he can then just go hold, go to 7, and then look to conquer with that grand stratagem going to 8 and getting that final point. And that's just methodical gameplay from 50 there.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing, too. You're not necessarily trying to be overly hasty when it comes into this. And now Master Yi is coming in, and he is able to come in ready and has the ability to gank. Rightfully so, it's Master Yi. But with that being said, that's still going to be a great push. You notice that your opponent is tapped out of their runes, so there's not necessarily going to be any surprises, no hidden cards, nothing like that. And so pushing in to go ahead and get that point, we'll see if Fiddy is going to be able to answer that back. So it looks like they are going to be going for a trade there in that case. Or it might actually be a...
I think
might very well be a scoop there. In that case, it looks like they passed it to Master Yi to take the game 1.
Yeah, I think that was a 650 there. And that was an interesting game 1, to say the least. We didn't get to see the full extent of Viktor there being able to use that grand stratagem. Maybe the argument was to actually just use the grand stratagem to try to push into that battlefield, so that way the Master Yi player would have to do a little bit things differently. But unfortunately, sometimes that's how the cookie crumbles when it comes to these matches. So Yi ends up taking game 1 there. And SK, as Viktor, what are you doing here in game 2? What is your strategy here? Do you want to try to go first and switch up your battlefield to see if you could do something differently, or what's the plan here?
Well, the biggest thing here that you're hoping for is that this time you can kind of change the tide into your advantage, where you're able to hit the ground running first instead, get to hold down the battlefield. And especially with the side decking right now, one thing that's going to be really interesting is, do you go ahead and side in the Ahri here? This is going to be really interesting because you have the ability to -2 from your opponents when attacking or defending, which can be a very big game changer there when going against the Master Yis that are going to be adding 2. So it's almost an equalizer right there.
Yeah, definitely. I can see that coming in as well. I can also see the card beside Ahri as well coming in that removal for the battlefield. Just being able to push damage onto those battlefields and just saying, hey, I'm going to clear these, use my tokens to come in. And it's also going to be interesting to see what battle choice Viktor goes for as well. We do see the Reaver's Row there that can come in as well. He is off of the Trifarian Orb camp, but Obelisk of Power is also an option as well, just being able to start the turn with the extra runes. And let's not forget about Master Yi. Master Yi also has some decisions to make as well, and deciding what to bring in here as well. And one card that we've been talking about all day, and we've seen it time and time again, is that Sabotage. Maybe bringing in that Sabotage to deal with potential grand stratagem plays in the late game. But honestly, I think the list did pretty fine. I think he's also really just chilling and could just relax.
Yeah, exactly. But you still don't want to necessarily count anything out. Again, the biggest things that are going to be hurting you here are going to be the Coals of the Weak and the Hidden Blades. And so if you can go ahead and even get the information that Sabotage gives you of knowing your opponent's hands, you can plan so much ahead on what to expect and, you know, prepare your board state and your battlefield for what is going to be ahead. Now, one thing that's going to be interesting too is Windwall is in his main deck as well, meaning that he can counter the grand stratagem. So here we go into game number 2.
Yep, game number 2, and Viktor has a lot of work cut up for it here because you're 1 game behind now. So now you gotta be like, hey man, I gotta switch up my strategy. Like, my game 1 wasn't the best, so I want to get game 2 going hard, fast, and strong. And let's just see here who will be going first here in our game number 2. And it seems like Viktor has decided to take the more aggressive game plan and start off game 2 by going first.
Yeah, and that's going to be a really interesting choice here, especially considering the battlefields that we also have. Now we have Reaver's Row, which is when you defend here, you may move a friendly unit here to base. And so that can be a little bit of insurance where if you are being overran, you can then just go ahead and retreat your unit back and they can live to fight another day, which can be a very big difference maker in this matchup.
Yep, for sure. And that Reaver's Row will definitely come in handy, especially on the side of Yi as well, because let's say, for example, Victor decides to make a push onto a battlefield, he can just bring back that unit and say, hey, I can live another day and try to retake that battlefield. But here we see in the turn 2, the student coming down, and hopefully we get to see more use out of this student as well in this game too. So just going to use that Victor ability, making another token as well, and just like game 1, setting up and getting ready for the later turns.
Yeah, and that's going to be the big thing too, especially with what student is able to do. It can really curve the battlefield might that you need to be able to win, because any spell that you play, you automatically give Ravenbloom student +1 might this turn, and so that can be a big difference maker. And right there we also see the hidden card coming into effect to go ahead and draw +2, and also being able to channel a rune on top of that. Really great here. And with that being said, real quick, let's go ahead and take a look at the cards in hand that both these competitors are utilizing here. And oh my gosh, the Master Yi with a double Defy in hand.
Ooh, that is a very and like let's look at this actually. Like having not one but two Defy as well is just insane and crazy. Like look at this for example. Like no call this call the weak is now useless. The Stupefy is now useless essentially. And now also having the discipline and the on guard as well is just going to prove very strong for this E player. And man, but he really needs to find the units. The units are going to be key here. And if we go back to the battlefield, we can see what's going on here. We can see that the student has now moved to that Reaver's Row and probably going to end up using a card here, being able to get those 2 tokens here, setting up. And we saw the Call the Weak here getting used on the Snapvine as well. So 2 tokens coming to the battlefield. Going to also be able to use Victor ability and just pass it back over to Yi. Strong turn there. He recognized that Yi was tapped out, so he didn't have the Defy ready for the Call the Weak, but going over to the Yi's turn, Yi hopefully drew into seeing some units.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and that's going to be maybe the biggest thing that is going to be hurting Master Yi right here. He only has 5 runes to utilize here, but at the same time, with no units in hand, that's going to be really slow. And now you're seeing that Fiddy is going to be going up to 5, and with no answers, potentially even 7 on this next turn as well. Meanwhile, Victor is still continuing to build the units in his base as needed. So that missing of that unit, yeah, you had a lot of great cards in hand, but I mean, if you don't have that unit, you're just in trouble here.
Yep, and then that's one of the
And then with that,
downsides. One of the downsides of Master Yi is just not having. Sometimes you get those hands where you have all the gas to stop all the effects and stuff like that, but you don't have the units to back it up, and that's a very unfortunate hand to see.
Yep, and just like that, Cruel Patron coming out onto the base, where as an additional cost to play me, you kill a friendly unit, but as a 4 cost with 6 might, that can just be absolutely scary. And especially when you create units a dime a dozen with your Victor ability, there's no harm in doing that right there. And they are going to also be hiding a card on the Dreaming Tree.
And we probably know which card this is. This we have seen it time and time again. It is going to be that Consult the Past, just being able to draw 2. And that card puts in so much work from time to time, especially when you're looking for certain pieces and you haven't seen them. And here we see Master Yi just looks like a desperation having to use that champion unit to come down in ready and just being able to take a battlefield. And luckily it is on Reaver's Row, so he will be able to retreat that unless there is some form of a removal from the side of Fiddy on the Victor.
Yep, and just like that, it looks like the card is going to be activated to add +2 cards to your hand. That is going to be very helpful, especially when you are already at 6 and you just need to be able to take a battlefield and hold.
Yep, and we talked about this curve before, this even curve when it comes to scoring, that just being able to say, hey, I can take 2 battlefields and just win this turn is just super strong. And here we're going to see it going up to 7 now just by moving in a 1/1 And man, it's looking pretty grim on the side of Ghosty here on this Master Yi.
Yeah, and again, that comes back to just a little bit missing on that card draw. Again, like we said, great hand, but just not necessarily able to get a lot of units out. Even still, though, if you were able to actually get units out, maybe the Poro or something like that, I mean, they were able to build up their board state just so strongly, and now we see them moving everything into the bases to make sure that they can hold the one base needed to be able to win this game. And so it's up to what this Master Yi deck can potentially do, but it might be too little, too late.
Yeah, and then this is looking like a 650 here, and that's the unfortunate one. When you're playing Master Yi and you're just not seeing those units, it relies so much on those early game units, and you need to see them. You don't see them, you don't have game. Victor, on the other hand, Victor can have whatever hand it wants. It can just put out tokens, and that's what makes that deck so strong.
Oh yeah, exactly. And that was a very strong round 2 win, or a game 2 win for Viktor here. I mean, you were just able to see how devastating it can be, and the big difference maker in going first. I mean, you saw exactly what the deck was able to do, especially with trying to get Faithful Manufactor out there, where when you play it, you can create a unit token, or even more so, the Noxian Drummer, which also can create a unit when it moves to battlefield, or Vanguard Captain, which creates 2 recruitins. Just, I mean, a lot of utilization to make your board wide and dangerous. And so it's going to be interesting to see how game 3 can go, especially with Master Yi potentially going first.
Yep, and let's talk about battlefields. Now we have Obelisk of Power on the side of Viktor. That's going to be their default battlefield for this game 3 here. So that is not only going to help them, but it's also going to help Yi as well. And if we want to take a look at Yi's deck list here, and now this is where you kind of have to decide if you want to go into this sideboard. You still have the Sabotage. We didn't see it there in that game 2. We have the Primal Strength potentially as well that we can bring in. I definitely think the Sabotage is the one that you really want to bring in here, but we have to talk about battlefields again. That fortified position for that Yi is going to be very useful here as well.
Yep, and with that being said, we are starting game number 3. It all comes down to this. Each competitor has won one game, and as they mulligan, they are going to be seeing what they can potentially do to get this game going. So let's go ahead and take a look at the hand that they might be able to have here. And, ooh, it's going to be interesting here. But, I mean, a great start right there for the Master Yi to get going.
Yep, so Master Yi here does have access to that Blitzcrank this time around. It's kind of giving similar vibes to game number 2, where he doesn't have those early game units. He does have the Watcher on board, however. Watcher is a very strong card, being able to get a +2 for just holding alone, and also getting a +2 from the Yi, so bringing it up to 6 potentially. But man, Cull the Weak just coming down and saying, hey man, I see what you're doing, but I'm not doing any of that. Man, what a strong card.
Yeah, well, and I mean, that was a really great start. The Obelisk coming in and giving an extra rune to the first turn Master Yi. Wielder of Water is one of the scariest things that you can get out on turn 1, especially when the Viktor would have not necessarily any board response to be able to do so. But I mean, Cull of the Weak just coming in absolute clutch right there. Not necessarily able to really build up your board state, but still the consistency that Viktor has in creating a token every turn. Whereas, you know, you just pay 1. Just pay 1 and you're able to create that 1 unit, that 1 might unit that can just help impact the game state as you continue to go through each and every turn.
Yep, just 1 for a body. Well, I wish Yi could have something like that where it just is pay 1 for a body. But Viktor just showing why it's just such a strong deck in this set 1 Origins. Just being able to put out bodies every turn, saying, hey, I have removal. Oh, Cull the Weak, I have to remove something. Oh, let me just get rid of this 1 token, right? And then your opponent has to get rid of one of their big bodies that they've paid into. And I think that's just how strong this deck list and just Viktor overall as a legend is.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what you got to be so careful about. I mean, we saw what happened in game 2 with that when they did play Cull of the Weak. And you know, the Master Yi had 2 of the Defies in hand to be able to counter that. But because they were tapped out, not able to access any of their runes, you know, it was able to go through. And that was really a big turning point in this last game to help push Viktor into really taking control of that game.
For sure. So just on the screen here, what we're seeing here is we're just having a judge pull out a legend. Sometimes it happens accidentally shuffling into the legend into the deck. So just waiting for a judge to go through and take care of that for us. So, but let's talk about this. Master Yi definitely has a lot of work to do here. Not we did see the hands and not having that early game pressure again for the second game in a row. I know a lot of people like this Yi list, but that always scares me going into these matchups where I need to be seeing these early game bodies so I can starve off this early game aggro from Viktor, and not seeing bodies. Like, what do I do here?
Yeah, and that's going to be the really tough part. And that's the thing is you're really relying on your starting hand to give you that momentum boost to really take this game to your opponent and say, "Here's my board. What are you going to do about it?" But in this case, I mean, you're going against Viktor, which is probably the most consistent deck, I would argue, for this, in this game currently. Just the ability to always pay one and get a unit out onto your base, and God, it's just so difficult to try to go ahead and play against here. But it looks like we got the Master Yi. The deck has been searched. It's an easy mistake to make, and glad they were able to catch that and get that resolved.
Yeah, for sure. Our judges are on top of it, and we do appreciate them. So here we see the Zanyas coming down and setting up with the gears here, setting up with the mask as well, being able to get that further boost as well. But all this boost and protection does not matter if you cannot see units. So hopefully we get to see some units here in the first. And here we see the recruit token pushing onto that fortified position location there, being able to cap that easily, and then also becoming basically a 3 might token on attack, or on defense, I should say.
And that's going to be the biggest thing here, exactly to the point that you made previously as well. The Hourglass, that's kind of a newer card that we haven't necessarily seen just yet in this tournament. What it actually does is next time a friendly unit would die, kill this instead and recall that unit exhausted. And that can be very helpful. But again, just like you said, you have to have units to be able to utilize. And again, this board state for Viktor is continually getting built up. But at the same time, now Master Yi is going up to the 7 runes here to try to get things moving.
Yep, and I wouldn't be surprised here if we see our champion come out here. This will be coming in active, so he can actually approach this token on that fortified position, and then even maybe just looking to flip, which we probably think is consult the pass, just being able to draw those 2 cards. So this is going to be coming in to this 3 might token here. No surprise. And yep, there's the consult the pass, going to draw those 2 cards. And then
you see Ghostly's reaction, or Ghosty's reaction right there. Just the thank you. Like, it's not anything scary, Master. You can live, and I can get the point to be able to start getting control of this game again. I mean, I love that we are able to see how these competitors are reacting, and how it is with them playing this game as well. So fun.
Yeah, very fun. And honestly, especially when you're playing against Viktor, you always have to fear if they have that Hidden Blade. We've seen Hidden Blade actually steal a game today, so you actually really have to be worried about that. And here we're seeing the Noxian Drummer coming in to the Obelisk of Power, being able to make that 1 token. Easy cap there, going up to 2. And hey man, this game is looking pretty strong. Remember, Master Yi does have ganking as well, so Master Yi can come over to that obelisk next turn as well, to be able to take that point. But let's see here what's going to happen. That looks like going to be coming down with that Cruel Patron. So Cruel Patron, as an additional cost, you have to sacrifice one of your units, and then it comes down as a 4/6. So very, very good stat line, very above average. And yeah, just holding out that Obelisk of Power, because Yi doesn't have anything to deal with this.
Yeah, well, and that's the biggest thing. If you utilize the ganking side of things, yes, you will be able to go ahead and move over. You're going to get the buff from your gear in the base, but at the same time, you're not going to get Master Yi's defense added as his legend ability. And I mean, being able to play Cruel Patron like that, that just makes it to where that battlefield just became so much more difficult to be able to take.
Yep, and here we're seeing a 5, and here we see the Blitzcrank coming down. So Blitzcrank will be able to pull, and more than likely going to be that Cruel Patron coming in here. And now Not only that will that Blitzcrank pull, Blitzcrank also has tank as well. So Blitzcrank will have to get damage first, and then Master Yi will be able to clean up here. And because that Master Yi is also active as well, now it can gank over to the Obelisk of Power, being able to also capture that location as well. So this is just going to be a 2-for-1 here, and clearing the board in a very, very nice way here.
Yeah, well, and not only that, though, Hourglass is on the field too. So when Blitzcrank takes the tank hit, it will then go ahead and activate Hourglass, go back to base, and that's going to be the biggest thing too. Blitzcrank, when it goes ahead and holds a battlefield, it gets automatically returned to hand. Whereas when it goes ahead and takes the hit here, it will just go right back to base, and Hourglass will bring it, and it can fight another day, which can be very helpful at this current board state.
And there we see Viktor use, it looks like he used the Siphon Power, so he's going to be shifting. And if you guys don't know what Siphon Power does, Siphon Power says you can spend 2 energy and recycle 1 rune and basically shift the tides, basically saying your units get +1 this turn and your opponents get -1 might this turn. And here we see a Discipline coming out, and that Discipline is actually super huge. And now the Master Yi is just going to be able to go over to the next side on that battlefield, on that Obelisk of Power, and now this is going to be huge on the side of Ghosty here, just being able to take both battlefields, and now he's sitting pretty here for sure.
Yeah, that's going to be the big thing right now. Could potentially be going up to 5 this next turn. So let's go ahead and see what is in hand right now. Looks like a Noxian Drummer is going to be drawn off the top, and a Cruel Patron as well. So potentially able to build back a battlefield pretty well. But I mean, double Charm in Master Yi's hand. That is scary.
That is a very disgusting hand. And we did see this earlier, but man, and this is the problem right now. Viktor is currently in a position where he does not have as many tools as he would like. He doesn't have the board state for that he would like to potentially be able to use that grand stratagem. He could have also potentially, I think what he's doing here, he's playing a little bit safe and just looking to go into that Harness Dragon for next turn maybe. So here you see here, then the next Cruel Patron coming down, KOing that Watchful Sentry, being able to get that draw card, and now he has a lot of damage on board. So Harness Dragon definitely will be coming down potentially for that E, but we do have to remember that Sonya's is on the battlefield as well.
Yeah, that is correct. And it looks like, yeah, the Blitzcrank did go back to hand in this case after holding the battlefield, and it will be utilized again. And it could very well be bringing over, yep, there we go. And that will be spawning also a unit because a battle is enacted with that move as well. And that still won't necessarily be enough to, write home about. No reason to put the token out onto the field. And then Master Yi is going to be going over to Fortified Position as well to hold both battlefields at this point, and especially at 5 points so far. And then using the Charm to go ahead and bring over the Cruel Patron. Now that can be a very big game-changing card right here, especially as we are in game number 3.
And the Charm, using that Charm just to bring over the Cruel Patron, saying, hey, my Master Yi is huge already, and now I have 2 units on battlefields. You have to get rid of my board, or I'm just winning next turn. It's just, what an insane play from Master Yi there. And we see how Charm has, this Master Yi has put in so much work. Not only being able to gang from battlefield to battlefield, but on top of that, in tandem with the Blitzcrank, being able to pull units out of base to battlefield to say, hey, I'm going to kill these units, and you're just going to have to deal with my stuff. If you have no responses, then that's too bad. And here we see the Harness Dragon coming down, and then Zhonya's will get popped for this Yi here. And honestly, what a way to utilize the Yi deck, the strengths of the Yi deck, being able to have that +1. That turn was insane.
Yeah, but at the same time, that dragon almost feels a little bit lackluster, especially with the Hourglass then going ahead and being taken out. Master Yi is back on the battlefield ready to go, and now we see the Poro moving in to go ahead and take this battlefield, and now we'll see what the Master Yi can be able to do to get that final point. Will they be able to hold in time? And it looks like a Blitzcrank going in.
Yep, so Blitzcrank just coming in, putting in so much work this game, and then Master Yi is just going to be able to go over And it looks like it is going to spell a game here because just super strong on that play there. That play was insane. We were talking about units and stuff like that, and just how units are going to be impactful. And just he didn't even have to see too many good units. He was just able to use his Master Yi champion and just being able to say, hey, I'm going to just use my champion, gank around the board, using that Blitzcrank and saying, hey, unit on board to me. Anything that you try to do, to me. Charm, to me. Like, we see so many units were moved, and it was honestly just because Yi is just a strong unit on defense.
Yeah, you're exactly right about that. And I mean, that's the power of Yi. Do I need a lot of units? No, I'm going to be able to maintain a lot of what I need to do just because of the cards in hand. Great game by Ghostly, great game by Fiddy. Both of these very high-level competitors, and we were able to see some great games as Master Yi took on Viktor.
Yep, so we're going to end up round 4 here. So we're going to take a short little break, guys. We'll be right back for round number 5 in the Riftlab Trials number 1, hosted by Piltover Archive.